What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast, the show dedicated to talking about all the poggers things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I'm one of your co-hosts, JesseKazam.
And I literally feel like there's a rat inside of my skull trying to bore its way out through my eyeball.
That's not
what
fun.
It feels like right now. I've got a headache, dude, and I can't. Like, it's in my eyeball.
That's weird.
You ever had I don't think it's like a migraine or whatever. I don't know exactly what a migraine feels like versus a headache, but yeah, dude, it's just like
I don't think I've ever had the eyeball, the rat in the eyeball headache.
You've never had the rat eyeball, dude? What are you talking about?
The rat in the eyeball. That's brutal, dude. Headaches are like one of those things where the gradient. The umbrella under headache is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, oh, my head hurts, I'm going to lay down for a little bit. And the difference between that and a migraine is unbelievable, unfathomable amounts of pain different, but they're both just I have a headache. And so it's my mom got migraines that would last for weeks at a time. And it was debilitating. Yeah.
You can have a stomach ache. Like last time I was I have a tummy ache. You can have just kind of not really feel well, right? All the way to you're praying for death on the toilet.
Yeah.
Kill me, please,
Kill
God.
me.
If you exist, kill me. I can't.
Dude, the memes about how fast you go from not believing in God to making deals. I'll never do this again. I'll never do this. I'll never eat this again. It's so true though, bro, because you are fighting for your life down there. Oh boy, have I been there. Oof.
Oh man.
Well, how you doing, man? How you been?
God, oh good. There's just a lot. A lot's been going on. A lot. Yeah, a lot's been going on. Other than project I'm working on and the house stuff. I'm trying to find some land to build a house on. There's been 700 other things. I just listened to. I had to VPN to New Zealand to listen to Sleep Token's third song.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. One of the community members, Genesis, was here, and they're down in New Zealand, and they're like, "Yo, check this link," and I clicked it. I'm like, "It's not available," and in a VPN.
That's crazy.
And it worked. So, this one's called Damocles.
Okay. Overall, W or L.
So let me. We never talked about the second.
Yeah, we
song.
never talked about caramel or
caramel, whatever. So the first one of the things I have to say is I had that issue really, with a few different things. I ultimately came around to saying I really like the song other than that one snare bit.
Yeah,
bro, listening to because every drummer and their mother has been
covering. Yes, I've seen a million of them.
Bro, and I have to say, there's something about some of the covers that make it sound good. A very slight, it's the phrasing, right? The slight delays, the exact way they syncopate.
Yeah.
Because you'd be surprised how differently things can change when you just shift it.
Does it kind
imperceptibly
of fall more in line with kind of what you had showed a lot that episode, where it when some of the covers, it almost feels the more intentional dragging or leading of the time signature in a almost jazzy way as opposed to a robotic intentional thing.
It's weird. It's so hard to describe, but there's one particular one, I'll have to send it to you, that when I listen to it, I'm like, this just sounds good. It doesn't bother me. But when I listen to the original, so anyway, I'm listening to it, and I'm never going to be able to not have it.
Of course,
be a little bit, especially because I've talked about it so much. I'm never going to be able to not. But overall, the first one it has been growing on me. So the second one that came out was called Caramel, and I know you want to wait until it's kind of I'm guessing that you are going to wait to listen to most of the rest of them.
Yeah, I haven't heard Caramel yet.
Can I? You know how every song has a kind of either a particular vibe or even genre. This one has a little trap. Can do you want me to spoil or not spoil?
No, that's fine.
What genre?
I've heard a couple seconds of it because I'm in just the like sleep token algorithm. So like
Yeah,
I've seen
like not
exactly. So I've seen 100 drum covers of what's the first song called again? I don't remember. Emergence. And so every once in a while it'll be like that person reacting to, and I'll be on it for 5 or 10 seconds before I realize it's the song, and then I'll swipe away. So I've heard like a tiny little bit of it, and I've seen some discussion around it.
Yeah, so I guess Caramel, I haven't actually listened to the words with this like perspective, but I think maybe the song is kind of about like the vibe I've gotten, and I could be totally wrong, but like from reading comments is like that the lyrics are almost about like the weird relationship the band has with its fans.
Oh, interesting.
Like the chorus is like something like stick to me like caramel, like you stick to me. And actually now I just want to look at the lyrics. Count me out like sovereigns, payback for the Count me out like sovereigns, payback for the good times, right foot in the roses, left foot on a landmine. I'm not going to be there tripping on the grapevine. They can sing the words while I cry into the bass line. Wear me out like Prada, devil in my detail. I swear it's getting harder even just to exhale. Backed up into corners, bitter in the lens. I'm sick of trying to hide it every time they take mine. So stick to me like caramel. Walk beside me till you feel nothing as well. Yeah, I don't know. The lyrics are a little bit better, but anyway, so that song is like reggaeton vibes. It's like
that's
that whole fucking and it works. I actually like it.
That's cool.
I gave the song, I would say like maybe 7 out of 10. I think it's pretty good. At the end, there's one part where they go back and forth between like kind of a more prog singing, it's still kind of heavy.
Yeah.
And then it's like and it's like
classic.
The way that they mixed it, it's so close to being satisfying because it kind of goes from one chord to like another chord that's almost like a really dramatic thing.
Yeah.
But because they've tuned down like 700 octaves and the bass is going, it's kind of just like noise.
Interesting.
Where it's like I can hear the hint of like the like diminished chord or whatever the fuck they're doing there. But you almost can't hear the melodic. Like I can't actually tell if I'm hearing, if you were to play like a 4-chord progression, I could play the 3 chords and then not the 4th chord.
Yeah.
And you would know
I would hear it. Yeah.
And I'm like hearing the chord without hearing it. And I can't tell if it's just really subtle in the mix. So I think they could have mixed it clear to make it sound cool, but otherwise it's kind of like a wall of sound.
Yeah.
But it's only at the end and it's only a couple times. So I gave the song about a 7. This more recent song that just came out that I listened to today called Damocles. Now, do you know who Damocles? What Damocles is?
Like
I only know about Damocles from The Binding of Isaac.
What did I say? Samuel Morse last week. I just freaking guessed it. I don't know. Like, Damocles, the Greek god of
shit.
Grapevines.
According to the story, Damocles was flattering his king Dionysius, exclaiming that Dionysius was truly fortunate as a great man of power, blah, 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 something. Damocles sat on the king's throne. I'm not going to read all that. So, I'm sorry that happened to you.
Or congratulations.
All I know is that, like, I'm pretty sure Damocles in The Binding of Isaac, all I know about the item is that it's literally a sword that hangs above your head. And there's kind of like a random timer that, like, at some point, like, you're powerful while you have it. But if like the random timer ticks off and it just falls and kills you and ends the run, basically. So it's something sort of Damocles hangs above the king's throne by a single horse hair. Oh. A whole burden of leadership type thing. Okay. I don't know. Anyway. So, and I think that this kind of might get you hyped for the song.
Okay.
I give this one, I want to give it like my subjective opinion is like 9 out of 10.
Oh,
objectively, it's probably like an 8.
Yeah. Okay. But I got you. I'm with you there.
It gives me like Midwestern emo vibes, dude. I feel like it's like Coheed and Cambria.
Oh yes.
Like what I want him to sing it an octave higher.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Like
bro.
I want him to sing it, dude. It's
oh boom.
Oh yeah, dude. It's so good. It's so good. Actually, that song is a little bit more. Was that Welcome Home? That's like a little bit more like metalish. This is just a little bit more like emo rock. Like what was the other one? Lay in the grass next to the mausoleum.
Oh,
Lay in the grass next to the
is that Fall Out Boy?
Well, yeah, like it just gives me Fall Out Boy. Like, I fucking love it, dude. I love it.
Oh, that's so sick. Ooh.
And it's got a ton of piano in it where it's like they just somehow make it so that, you know, like every like 7th chord is like, where it's just like deep. Got that kind of jazzy vibe, but yeah, it definitely gives me My Chemical Romance. Yeah, kind of. That's
so exciting.
And I didn't even listen to the lyrics so much. Well, I've been waking up under blades, blue blossom days. If only Damocles would hit me back. No alabaster carvings or faces on a farthing would prevent me from fading to black. And it feels like falling into the sea from outer space in seconds to me. And I play discordant days on repeat until they look like harmony. When the river runs dry and the curtain is called, how will I know if I can't see the bottom? Come up for air and choke on it all. No one else knows that I've got a problem. What if I can't get up and stand tall? What if the diamond days are gone? And who I will be when the empire falls? Wake up alone and I'll be forgotten.
Bro,
that's definitely not fucking Diamond in My Nano or whatever the
he's
whatever this
Carbine in My Nano. Bro, if nothing else, he's living proof that melody is more important than lyrics. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying those lyrics don't mean anything to him, but
melody and rhythm.
Yeah, but in a world where, you know, 98% of song lyrics exist in this spectrum, and he's freaking Carbine in My Nano, freaking GTA flux capacitor, and it just like, and somehow you would never know when you listen to the song because the melody, the rhythm, how it like works and fits within the musicality of the song. You read some of the lyrics and you're like, bro, are we speaking freaking Klingon? Like, so. And I also,
overall,
it probably means, it all means something to him. I'm not saying it is nonsense. I'm just saying it can appear to be nonsense if you're reading it for the first time.
Yeah, so overall, I'm excited. I think you'll like that one too. It's really good. And it makes me a little bit more excited for the album.
I mean, it's coming, right? It's May.
I don't even know when it's slated to come out, the whole thing.
Because the whole reason I haven't, May 9th is because of how close it is. Yeah, I mean, we're so close.
Okay, so it's like in 2 weeks or something.
Yep, 2 weeks.
Word.
Literally 2 weeks from tomorrow. Yes. That's awesome.
So yeah, so there's that. There's the whole Karl Jobst finally released his video.
Oh, okay.
And since then he's released another video that's like just a speed running kind of thing. And I think at least when I looked at it, you know, he still has some like leftover residual,
of course,
you know, like negativity, but I can't see the percentage. I need a plug in for that. The fucking downvote percentage, right? It was at like 90% upvotes, you know, so, but still like, there was a chance that, you know, he was going to kind of be like on the downslope, getting canceled, you know, all this stuff for all the drama. With
I know
the
that was
lawsuit.
definitely a concern. Yeah.
But overall his video was really good. And I think he explained what he needed to explain, defending himself. The people who like, it didn't satisfy the people who would never be satisfied.
Of course.
The people who I just genuinely think it's like all fake. It's all fake, like enragement. Like,
of course,
it's just like none of the people.
If 1,000 of people are like genuinely mad at him, one of them goes home at night and is actually like thinking about it and is like, man, I can't believe this. Like the other 999 are just like bandwagoning.
Yeah, so he explains himself really well, and I think overall it went okay.
Yeah, that's good.
So I'm at least like happy for him that I think he'll, after a few more videos, hopefully
He'll land on
everybody
his
will like
feet.
kind of forget about this dumb shit. And, and you know, at the end of the day, he's the one that has to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for some bullshit to a douchebag that nobody likes or should like.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the shitty part. So anyway, so that's the way that's all.
Okay.
That all went down. I would recommend if anybody's curious to go check out his video on it. Karen Reed, round 2.
Somebody in chat was like, bro, have you seen the new Karen Reed trail started? And I was like, oh no, but I bet we're talking about that on the podcast.
Yeah, so we're 2 or 3 days into the trial. There's a new district attorney that's the prosecutor.
Okay.
So new people like against her, but the same fucking judge. I don't understand. It's like, why would you not change the judge? Like, there was so much controversy over the judge.
Yeah.
That it's like, if there's a murder trial that ends up being a mistrial and they have to have a retrial, why would you even like risk, like, just change everything?
Yeah, 100%.
And she's already fucking annoying me.
The
like,
judge.
I can't stand. Yeah, dude, it just makes me so mad that she like doesn't have patience for shit, to the point where like they'll be arguing a key thing about some aspect of whatever, and she's like, and there'll be objections, and she's like, can we just like move on? And it's like, someone's fucking life is on the line.
Yo, that's crazy.
Like, it just seems like, and you can hear her too. She's on mic and she's like, like, I'm like, you bitch, fuck. Like, just
that's just not what you want out of the professional objective opinion person, or
especially when someone's like cooking, you know, when they're like, it's like, just let them, like,
that's
fuck.
crazy.
But, you know, they wanna, so overall, I don't know,
crazy, bro.
They're approaching this in a lot of ways different this time around. It's still early, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same structure, where it's probably like going to be like a week or like multiple weeks of the prosecution basically saying this is why we think she's guilty, and then the defense goes afterwards and does their case in chief. They only had a few days last time, and they had a pretty short case in chief. Now one of the major differences this time around is Trooper Proctor, the lead investigator, who was the one that was texting things about like her butthole and like fucking the most absurd, rude, lewd, disgusting, unprofessional, like all the bad things. He's since been fired for his conduct on this case. So now, before, when they started off with like, you know, leading into this about this state trooper who did all this shit, now it's the ex-state trooper who did all this shit that got fired for his improper handling of this case. Now it's like a whole different vibe. I can't wait till I have to read all the text messages again.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, so that's interesting. But then also the other element of it too is that she very questionably went on like multiple
like podcasts or something, news shows.
No, they were like Netflix miniseries, documentary kind of things. And she did a bunch of interviews and talked a ton. And they even got a hold of all of the like the raw, unedited footage as a part of the. So now it's in a murder trial. It's actually quite common that the person on trial doesn't testify.
Yeah.
You know, they exercise their, like, you know, Fifth Amendment right to not self-incriminate. Like, you don't have to testify. You have no burden. The burden is on the prosecution to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. So usually it's like, you don't want to get on the stand and like fuck yourself. So they usually just don't say anything. Well, now they've got all these videos of her saying all kinds of shit about all kinds of shit, like talking about how, you know, like she had a bunch to drink, but she was driving safe and blah, blah. So it's like, now you have her acknowledging, she kind of did, it was like off the record sort of thing, but still it's on her videos kind of explaining like, sure, she was doing the whole thing where it was like, sure, I was driving drunk, but I was being like really careful. Kind of that kind of thing. You know, so it's like, that doesn't help. Now, granted, they still have to prove that
Of course.
She
of
killed
course.
someone when she was like this. She's not on trial for driving drunk. She's on trial for killing someone while being drunk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that has to be determined. But anyway, so I'm looking forward to every day. I'm going to be watching the trial all day, every day, 9 to 5, playing
Dang, dude.
Power Washing Sim or Factorio or whatever, just kind of vibe. So that's interesting. And I think probably the only other thing I'll say before we move on to some other stuff is I finally got a response back from the famous Jaren Campanella, aka Jarenism.
You got a response back.
Yeah, so at first I sent him a message on Twitter, no response. I sent him a message on Instagram, no response. I sent him a message on Telegram, got a response back. Because like all the conspiracy theory folks, they all use Telegram.
They
dude.
love
They all
Telegram.
use Telegram. It's either that or never mind. I'm not going to make that decision. I'm not going to make that joke. But yeah, so I finally sent him a message on Telegram and he responded in like 3 minutes after I'd been waiting a week on the other platform. So I just don't think he saw.
Yeah.
And he said he was like totally down to basically have a kind of dual stream conversation.
Hell yeah.
Floated the idea of maybe going through and watching my documentary, the 8 hours. I would be down to do like a 12-hour stream.
Yeah.
I don't know about your kind of thing. Or we could go through parts of it, or we could just skip that and just talk.
Yeah.
But so for those who don't know, Jaren is one of the flat earthers that went to Antarctica, and he came back after seeing the 24-hour sun, and then being confronted by the crazy cult that is the flat earthers that he helped create. He is now since full-blown gone away from flat earth. And it's actually a bunch of people that I also didn't realize. There's this woman, Patricia Steer, that was really big, like huge in the community. She's now an ex-flat earther. There's another guy that I got a message from. He was the guy who organized like the flat earth conferences. He emailed me.
Really?
He emailed me and was like, after the final experiment, and since then, and then watching your video, I think it was more attributed towards the final experiment, but basically like he's gone full blown, reverted his course, and he's asking to put he wants to mirror my video on his channel in full, but bleep out the profanity, because he's like, there's a lot of like religious flat earthers that wouldn't want to watch something with profanity. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Nah, fam.
I'm like, maybe if you pay me, like I don't.
Yeah, dude, just like it's like the radio edit of an 8-hour video.
Yeah, it's like if it wasn't an 8-hour video, like maybe I don't know. I got to figure that out. But so there's just been a ton of people that have totally switched over, and now they believe the Earth is a spinning wet ball.
So in some way, the final experiment moved the needle. We knew it wasn't gonna like the whole movement was gonna crumble, right? Like we knew that wasn't gonna happen. But in maybe a way slightly more than expected,
I was 100% wrong. When I had the guy, Will Duffy, Pastor Will Duffy, is the one that was like the rich pastor,
like benefactor
who's the one
of the thing. Yeah.
When I had him on my stream, I interviewed him. One of the things I basically said, he had this kind of like really what seemed to me to be naive optimism that he was gonna, this was gonna, he named it the final experiment as if like, So I was like, I basically said, what you're doing here as utility, not because it's going to change anybody's mind, but because it's going to serve as a very clear magnifying glass spotlight on here's their willingness to ignore evidence and to blah, 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 but you're not going to change anyone's mind. So like, don't get your hopes up kind of thing. And the last thing I expected was any of the flat earthers who went, let alone anyone else in the community.
Yeah.
So it seems like Will Duffy, I can't know if this is true or not, but he says he's gotten hundreds of emails from people who flip-flopped. So I think it like made a big difference. And I think a large part of that was because when the flat earthers came back, they were both initially, when Whitsitt and Jaren came back, they were both saying, we don't believe the earth is a globe, but the 24-hour sun is real and Antarctica is real and you can go.
Yeah.
Which are both things that they had been fervently denying for like over a decade.
Yes.
But you can't go to Antarctica and there's no 24-hour sun. And they came back and they're like, so these two things we were wrong about. So let's kind of go back to the drawing board. Yeah. And the reaction they got from the community, from all of the content creators, like Flatzoid and all those fucking weirdos, and their like cult communities were, you guys are Jewish Freemasons, you're shills.
NASA.
How much did they pay you? How much did they pay you? You know, how much money did you make? Blah, blah, blah. And so, and what Witsit's been doing is he's been like totally on the defensive, like, what, you guys fucking believe me? It's so crazy you don't believe me. This, you know, like, and he's been like actively kind of trying to debunk the people who are debunking him, which is just funny.
Yes.
But Jaren saw it for what it was and was like, oh, it's not, none of this, it's not about evidence at all.
Yes.
And then, you know, he kind of applied sort of that logic to himself.
Yeah.
And I actually just went back and found, got a little bit of the way through before the podcast of watching him and Witsit 7 months ago reacting to my video. And this was before he went to Antarctica. And, you know, like some of the quotes he said about me were they said I was dishonest, that I was this cocky guy saying flat earthers are all intellectually dishonest, except I was lying. I don't actually look at the results of the tests. Everything I'm being hypocritical. I'm disgusting. All of these things. And it's like, so, and all the shit he was saying, it was all the stuff that now all Jaren's content is watching flat earthers and making fun of how stupid they are. In a way that's kind of ironically like not self-aware. It's like self-aware but not self-aware, because he like almost, what he does is say like, how can you guys deny it when the evidence, like I'm telling you guys that this is the evidence. How can you deny it? It's like they deny it because they think you're lying.
Yeah. Just like you denied it because you thought I was lying. The evidence,
but like
the evidence didn't appear for the first time in Antarctica. The evidence was there the whole time. Yeah.
So it's this weird thing where it's like, it's almost as if he knows that he was on like this other side, but he can't, it's almost like now he can't empathize with the other side anymore in a weird way. Cause it's like, you know, you wouldn't ask them, why don't you understand when the evidence is right in front of you? And it's like, because they don't see the evidence the same way you do. Why is this confusing?
Yeah. I see what you mean there. Where like that maybe not like empathy, but that understanding of the position of the other side, since you were so recently there. It's like, once again, you don't necessarily have to empathize with them or agree with them, but it's like wasn't that long ago you were there. So at least understanding. Yeah.
You can't just point to a picture of Earth from space and be like, how can you guys deny this? It's right in front of you. Like, brother, you spent how much time explaining how this is all
picture? Yeah.
Well, he also denies the moon landing still, kind of, but he's open to he's gonna have some discussions with some of the guys about it, because now at least he acknowledges that
he can be wrong.
He kind of needs to re-examine wow, all of these things have all of how many of my beliefs that I hold so strongly, how many of them might actually be exactly like this. So that's encouraging. But he agreed to talk to me, so we're gonna have a stream sometime someday.
That's cool. Hell yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to that.
Hell yeah.
I kind of want to have in a weird way, I want to do a show with him or something, like a regular thing, because one of the videos he just recently did was entitled is everything supernatural like a scam or something? And I wasn't sure if he was going to be pro or against it, right?
Yeah.
And he came to the totally reasonable conclusion of he talked about there's something called the James Randi Education Foundation. You know who James Randi is?
Mm-mm.
He's one of the OG magicians from back in the day. That
interesting,
big skeptic. He was the guy. There was this guy. Was it Yuri Geller? Yeah, Yuri Geller was a Israeli British illusionist. He was this guy that was always on television for like bending spoons and doing like all these different mental and James Randi was, if you Google James Randi, Randi, and you see him, you might recognize him, but he just went around for a long time just debunking bullshit pseudoscience. Like he was kind of the Penn and Teller before Penn and Teller.
Gotcha.
And it's like when you're a magician, you understand all the ways in which you can fool people.
Yeah.
So that's like the perfect debunker, right? Is like a magician. They've had for decades now $1 million challenge. They have $1 million in a bank account sitting in escrow waiting that if anyone can prove under controlled scientific conditions that they can do some supernatural anything, whether it's remote viewing, whether it's telepathy, whatever, you get $1 million. And they sit down with the people and they agree upon what the experiment is going to be beforehand.
It's like mutually agreed terms. It's not like you have to come and do everything. It's like, okay.
And it's just like crazy because you'd think like if any of this existed, someone would come claim it. The only way that you can doubt it, right, is by invoking a conspiracy that somehow they're lying or they wouldn't give the money up or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But, every time anyone gets put to the test, you realize it's all just chance.
Yep.
Right? Like if there's a 1 in 10 chance that they choose a thing, it's what's ironic is that they almost always do worse than chance. If they're if they like look at a picture, there's 10 pictures and they're like, think about it. They'll like get it right like 7% of the time or something.
Yeah.
It's like, but what he was talking about was basically like that was compelling to him. All of a suddenly he's like, these people are saying, this $1 million. He's like, yeah, if it was real, like, why wouldn't anyone? It's like, yeah. And I almost want to like go on a show with him because he seems like he's coming at this from an honest, intellectually honest, curious place. He now understands the value of science and making predictions beforehand, developing models beforehand.
Yep.
It's almost like I want to basically like go with him and investigate things that he like kind of maybe thought was true or whatever. And it's like, well, then let's like actually do a test. Let's figure it out. Anyone who claims that any of this and he'll totally be convinced it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
After a while. So I'm like, I kind of want to like pitch something to him. I don't know. We'll see.
Dude, that'd be great. That would be great.
Anyway.
Oh man. Well, I love it.
What you been up to? You've been playing Tarky? You've been playing Marathon?
Been playing a lot of Marathon. We did have a little bit of Tarky news though. We once again, as we talked about last week, they always do the Tarkov TV the day after, and I was like, I didn't feel like moving the podcast or anything, but it ended up being a relatively juicy Tarkov TV live. It was short and sweet. I'm sure you kind of got asked about it a little bit, but
nope.
No
one asks me about Tarkov anymore.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
It took 2 years of not being in the community.
Yeah. The only stragglers I think are left are like people that figure we're going to talk about it on the podcast. So that sometimes I wonder but no, that's funny. Basically, the thing that the Tarkov TV centered around was 1.0 of Escape from Tarkov is happening this year, 2025. Yeah. Yeah, you did.
And someone commented, I was like, they're going to announce 1.0.
You did. And what is going to happen between now and then. So not so much 1.0 is going to happen this year, and this is what it's going to look like, which is unsurprising to me because they've been pretty honest about how they want to keep most of that close to the chest. Now, that makes it very hard for me to like, people are like, people are nonstop being like, what do you think about 1.0? Like, do you think it's going to bring a lot of people back? Do you think the game is going to be different? And admittedly, I don't know because they've said in the past that there's tons of mechanics to the game that they want to keep close to the chest and not put out until 1.0. My suspicion, if I had to put money on red or black, once again, my bet is 1.0 is exactly the game we have today, with terminal and 12 quests that are called storyline quests. I don't think there's anything more to it than that. But
Yeah.
I don't want to just say that to everybody that comes by, because I don't know that to be true. And I don't want people to interpret it like I know that to be true. I think there's at least a small chance that they internally whittled down their original vision to maybe 3 or 4 extra mechanics or new ways, maybe in-raid traders or additional traders or something. And they're like, we're going to keep all this to 1.0. KO state, down state. There's a million things they've said they wanted to add over the years. We know that a lot of that's been pared down. So it's like, so I don't know. So they didn't really talk about like what's coming in 1.0. All we know is that storyline quests and terminal, right? Like those are the only things we know, and they want to keep it that way. So there's a chance that there's more to it. I wouldn't expect much more to it, but there's a chance there's more. But they talked about 1.0 coming this year. 100%. It's gonna happen. And they released a roadmap for what is going to happen between now and then. We are supposed to get a big patch in May, a big patch in June, a big patch in July, a big patch in August, and then after August, it just says Tarkov release 1.0 in 2025. So that could mean September. That could mean December 31st. Once again, I hope you, as the listener, understand that I still, after all the jadedness, after all the frustration, I still am rooting for success. I want this game to continue to thrive. I hope they fix everything, and I hope Arena is great, and I hope 1.0, and I hope Steam, and I hope there's a million more players. That benefits me. Why wouldn't I want that, right? Friggin' all my videos get more views. But I also have to say, ever since they've been releasing these roadmaps, they've never, not one single time, stuck to it beginning to end. In terms of timing, I will give them credit for.
Is it ever closed?
No. I will give them credit for almost everything on these lists ends up in the game, but it's oftentimes not even close when we're talking about dates for things happening. Or if it is close, it's because at that time, about half of the things in the patch get moved to another patch.
Yeah.
So once again, the fact that, I had a lot of people ask, like, do you think it's going to be in September? Like, I kind of believe them that 1.0 is this year, but do I think it's in September? No, because the patch is going to happen in May, but then the June patch is going to get delayed to July, and then the July patch is going to get delayed, and then the July and the August patch might get combined, and that might happen in September or October. But you know what I mean? It's like, realistically, do I think they're going to hit it? No. Once again, I would love to be proven wrong. I'd love to be proven wrong. I'm totally fine with that. But I would just say, once again, as the gut check, I don't think it's going to stick. But I will say, this has been hard for me, okay? I told you about the Tarkov.community site, where it's like I think some of the emissaries made it or something. It's basically like Reddit, but just for Tarkov. And a bunch of the Sherpas are in there, a bunch of the emissaries are in there, a bunch of the Bungie staff, a bunch of the Tarkov EFT staff is in there, and people post an idea, it gets upvoted or downvoted. The ones that get upvoted the most obviously resonate with the community the most, and then BSG will respond to some of them and say, planned or no, or we're working on this. Most of the patches are basically divided up into like things come into the game, and then things directly, they're putting in the roadmap things that came from the Tarkov.community thing. Now, every single one of the things in there are amazing, are great ideas. Highlighting, when you click on your insurance, it'll show you like what's going to expire when. It's going to auto restart failed tasks. You're going to be able to, next to a craft in the hideout, you're going to be able to click buy all instead of having to buy everything individually.
I went to Tarkov.community. The first thing on the list is add eat a bag of dicks as a bear PMC voice.
Yes, yeah, eat bag of dicks. Yes. The ability to check a warning before you go into a raid with something that you like on you that you need. The automatic purchase of missing currency. So if you build a gun and then you go to buy all the attachments, and to the attachments you need USD, but you don't have any USD, right now you just have to go completely disassemble the gun, go buy the USD, come back and redo the thing. It's going to automatically buy currency. A bunch of things. What has been hard for me is that like everything in there has been things everyone in the community has been asking for like 5 years. And he was talking on the thing. Once again, this is me self-aware of the jadedness. The way he was talking on the Tarkov.community thing, it just felt like he was like, why didn't we just make a website before? Like all these great ideas are coming from it. And I'm like,
fuck off.
He didn't say those words, but that was the vibe was like the Tarkov.community thing has been great. So many good ideas have come from there. Like it's been such a wild success. And it's like everyone on every platform, under every comment, under every one of your tweets, every single day for 6 years have been saying these same 10 things. And then other people, not you, made a website, and then they're getting worked on. And once again, I'm glad they're getting worked on. I'm glad. But I am self-aware that this is an evil part of me. But the evil part of me is like, fuck you. Like, dude, we've been saying this the whole time. And so I just had to get that out. Better late than never. I would so much rather these things get worked on. But this vibe of like, why didn't we think about this before is driving me nuts, bro.
I can't believe none of you guys proposed any of these
It's
things
driving
this
me
fucking website.
It's driving me crazy. But it's all, and to be honest with you, it's kind of been a sanity check for me that I haven't gone to Tarkov.community one single time to look through it. Like I'm so detached from Tarkov. I can't emotionally fill 1 extra second of my day that doesn't need to be filled with Tarkov. And it's been a good sanity check that now that I'm seeing all these things, I'm like, oh yeah. You know what I mean? It's not like we added another t-shirt for the USEC and that was like under the Tarkov.community website. It has been encouraging that the community has basically like brought these ideas that we've been saying the whole time to it and upvoted them enough to get them fixed. So there's lots of cool quality of life stuff coming for sure. And then in terms of like each patch, but I told you there's one May, June, July, August. None of them are really focused on bringing anything new to the game. The top half of the notes where it's like what they're working on, it's all AI behavior adjustments, visual improvements. Each patch has a dedicated map that they're basically like going through and replacing old textures with new textures. They're trying to optimize. It's Lighthouse first, then Reserve, then Shoreline, Interchange. Interchange is getting an expansion as well. So like they talked a ton about FPS. They talked a ton about optimization. They talked. So once again, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. From a high level view, this is what I want to see in a roadmap. Yeah. Do I want more bosses and more maps and more things? Of course, right? Do I want more things to do as a guy that's, gotten Kappa 5 times? Of course. But this is what I want to see in a roadmap. Optimizing this map, working on audio, working on AI behavior, working on hit registration. Like, it's all there. We'll see how it goes, but I have to give them credit where credit's due. This is exactly what I want to see out of like a year-long roadmap. So that's nice. In the June one, they have, where is it? Hold on. Oh no, in the May one, they have Shoreline audio improvements. Thank God. It's literally been 3 years now since there's been no occlusion zones on that map. Oh, and then in June, audio engine improvements. And they showed a video, and the video was like 3 different videos. Like 2 of the windows were like dev windows. One of them was like the engine window where they had a sphere that was yelling scab voice lines. And it was like, you could see all the like casts. And then in the third window, it was like a player and it was moving around the underground and factory. And it would be like, there'd be a pillar in front of him and then he'd walk behind some boxes and then he'd walk around a corner and it was showing the difference. And it sounded great. It sounded great. They didn't do any vertical. And this was very obviously a controlled test, but it was nice that they showed off a little bit of what they mean by audio engine improvements. And it sure would be nice if it stuck this time around. You know what I mean? The saying isn't famous for no reason. 6 times the charm. You know what I mean? 6 times the charm. So as you can see, I'm trying. I'm really trying. I want the game to be good. I don't believe anything I read on this roadmap, but I don't want that to mean I automatically like hate everything I read on this roadmap, right? This is what I want on the roadmap. So I'm not going to say that they suck. They're putting the right things on the roadmap. It's just I'm not going to believe anything I see on the roadmap until I see it in game, which I think is fair. I think 6 years in, my position on this is fair. But that's it. So quality of life, optimizations of maps, audio upgrades, seasons, balancing, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. So, and then that's basically how they're tying up the bow leading into 1.0. We're pretty much full blown halted on like features, and they're trying to tighten the screws on the game and then get 1.0 out sometime this year. Cool beans. You know what I mean? This is cool beans. They're doing almost every single update is also going to come with a big event. They talked a little bit about how like the Labyrinth event was very successful and they enjoyed it and they're glad the community enjoyed it. So they want to do more like big events like that. I do think that event was successful. I think it got to the point where I'd rather put my nutsack in a blender than play one more Labyrinth raid. But, you know, it's okay. It was cool and it was successful.
Dude, it's just so crazy to me now just thinking about how it went from like this thing gave me this experience that is so great, awesome, blah blah blah, and then they make a conscious change that didn't need to happen to then make it completely unfun. And it's like,
well,
I mean, which is what they've done to like everything.
It got unfun to me before they made changes to it. They did end up reducing the loot by 50% and making it harder to get to. So the map is basically dead to me. It became unfun beforehand. And I don't want to say, I think you'll know what I mean if I say this, but I'm worried that the viewers won't. So let me explain. It was like the players made it unfun. But I don't mean that as in like anytime I died, a player shouldn't have been doing the thing. It's that it's like a core issue. The mechanics of the game are such. We talked about this the other day, right? We talked about this a couple weeks ago where I was like, if you put in ChatGPT, if you put Tarkov into ChatGPT, it would say rat. Like that's the most viable. The mechanics of the game are such that the best way to play is frustrating. And so any new mechanic, however well thought out would be, is from day one a race to the bottom. I had so much fun on the first couple days because nobody knew what they were doing. Nobody knew what the rooms meant. Nobody knew the pacing of the map, and it was organic and it was fun. Like if I ran a Labyrinth raid right now, everybody knows which rooms are the best rooms because some rooms, the key spawn or whatever it is you're looking for to get out of your escape room, some of them just require more steps from your PMC.
Yeah.
Which means that you can just get a shitty roll. And by the time, if 9,000 hour Andy here, by the time I get my key, I unlock my door, I blowtorch the thing, I turn off the alarm, and I open my spawn door, there is a level 67 standing at the door. I die. And that's just because the room next to me is a much easier one to get out of, and he got out first. You know what I mean? So stuff like that, where it was like, I don't fault him for that, but it also sucks ass. So it was kind of stuff like that, where the mechanics of the game, it's always a race to the bottom of like ratting and just kind of holding corners because that's just the mechanics of Tarkov, man. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's inherently like fundamentally a balancing issue in a way that's not as obvious as you would think.
Yeah.
Like balancing isn't always like making things that have stats or, you know, like equal, but you can think about it in exactly the same way, right? If in CSGO you used a Mac 10 and it had no recoil and one-tapped everything, no one would use anything other than that.
Yeah.
So it's a design of an aspect of the game that either implicitly or explicitly drives the it's like Darwinian evolution.
Yeah.
You are creating the actual fitness function that determines you know what will survive. And and you are creating with the mechanics, whether it's the sound, whether it's the movement, whether it's the ballistics, that make it so that there's one fittest. No matter what, you start off with any organism whatsoever, you'll always end up converging towards a thing with horns and wings.
Yes.
Because there's lava on the floor and everything's jelly, right? Like, so you'll just always end up with that.
Yes.
And Tarkov has kind of always been that way. Although there have been times where there have been either events or metas or whatever that have kind of broken the mold and made it such that you can do more, right? But when the netcode's bad, the audio's bad, the design of the maps is in such a way, and the ballistics is in such a way that like there's one
and I think
solution.
I think mechanically I couldn't come up with a bunch off the top of my head, but I was thinking about this the other day and I had things. I should make a note of these things. I do think slowly as the game has progressed, mechanical changes have been made to the game that have trended in that direction. In addition to, I think an extraction shooter of the caliber of Tarkov, which means like the time to kill being what it is, like, you know, a one tap. I think it was always gonna, in a Darwinian evolution way, trend this direction. And then I think along the way, some mechanics shifted. Like, remember what we were talking about the other week where I was giving some stupid example. I was like, what if there was like a golden Letix in the middle? And that meant the people that wanted to fight could fight for it and then secure it. And even if they got ratted, and I was talking about how, you know, fixing ratting isn't making it more ass to rat. It's just making it more rewarding to do something else. And then you get to tip the scale without hurting these people. I think mechanically over the past 6 years, what they've done is actually slowly the opposite. I don't think they've necessarily made it easier to rat, but I think they've clipped off some of the reward structure of playing other ways, which is why the scale has, you know, kind of slowly gone that way. So yeah, that's such a good way to put it. And once again, it's like almost every single time, of course I'm yelling, like in the moment I'm mauling about like, wow, Prestige 2 ratting in their spawn. Like, of course, because I'm mad. But at the end of the day, it really is don't hate the player, hate the game. But that's why I kind of just wanted to stop playing Labyrinth, because I'd rather remember it for what it was the first 2 weeks where it was like fun as shit. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But then on top of that, on top of the fact that the community has basically min-maxed it to a point where the RNG comes out, to then be like, all right, I'm already frustrated with this map because it's super RNG, the AI is so ass, and Tagil is really bad. To be like, okay, well, we've nerfed the loot by 50%, and you can't buy keycards anymore. It's like, okay, well, I'm literally never going back there, dude. Ever. Ever.
Yeah, they're like that when the floor is lava and everything is made of jelly, you end up with the thing that has wings and horns. Except, oh, sorry, it's also like acid hail rain that makes the wings untenable. So the only thing you can do is make like a boat, a lava boat, and that's everything is a lava boat in the end. And by the lava boat, I mean crabs with like carbide in my nano underbelly technology, where they can all float on the lava. And by that I mean crab walk. I was just forcing that metaphor to and I
love every bit of it. So anyways, they want to do more events. I'm cool with that because the beginnings of the events are some of the most fun. They're adding, they didn't say exactly when, but they're adding Prestige 3, 4, and 5. Right now you can Prestige twice, and they're adding 3, 4, and 5. They showed off what the dog tags will look like. They showed off one of the Prestige rewards is going to be a skin for the Gamma container that looks like it's Louis Vuitton. It was actually kind of drippy as hell, dude. I mean, I think the people that were worried about what was going to happen if skins were brought to the game, they are shaking in their boots, but I think it's lit. They talked about Arena a little bit and how they're going to have some really big tech. They're working on big tech updates that will help with the hit reg. They're going to bring those audio improvements that are coming to Tarkov to there. He very quickly said new location resort for Checkpoint and Blast Gang, which is cool. Some cool other stuff. They're bringing the AK-50. Brandon Herrera made a 1 of 1 50 caliber AK, and they're adding it to Tarkov. They showed off like they already have it modeled and animated. They've been worked with Brandon. I'm sure they got Brandon to do 3D models of it and send it over, but that's cool. Chat asked if they're ever going to bring Prestige to PvE, and he laughed and looked into the camera and said no, and then just moved on, which made the PvE players feel very good.
Why not?
I think he hates PvE. I think he put it out there like, you know how like you get in that argument with your wife? It's like, I just wish you would do this for me. And it's not going to, I wish you do this. Fine, I'm going to do it for you. And you're going to see that it's not going to matter. And then you do it and it changes her life. That's what happened. I feel like he was like, y'all want PvE so bad? You're going to see that nobody likes it. And they put it out. And then 70% of the player base towards the end of last wipe was playing PvE. And I think he resents it.
He's literally the husband who the wife is like, honey, I want a pool. And he's like, you know, we're going to get a pool and it's just going to sit there covered, blah, blah, blah. And his wife is out there every day lounging like, honey, can you get me
the kids are swimming, like, dude. Kids' friends are over. That is,
and he's gotta fucking put all the chemicals in. And he's like, I don't want to have to do any of this.
Oh my God. That is what I think his relationship with PvE is. So I just think he's super hesitant to bring new features there because he doesn't want to make it more. Listen, you know my thought on PvE. I'm never gonna play it, but I was like so glad it was added. So many people got so much value and joy out of Tarkov since PvE came out. I'm so glad it's there. I'm not a PvE Andy, but yeah, he seems very resistant. I mean, he literally like just like laughed and looked at the camera and said no, and then just moved on. Like no prestige.
Just like there's no reason. Now I can't know if technically they did this. I mean, there's no chance. Given how many issues I think have in the game, have they smell like a duck, walk like a duck, whatever. When a duck is, they don't know how to use source control, which is like git merging of branches and shit. How they're just constantly bringing back in old bugs or reverting to things that seem like they got rid of that shouldn't be there, but it manifests exactly the way they used to be. The way that they should have done PvE, in my opinion, but it could only be done if they had like proper software architecture principles.
Yeah.
It would have basically been like, you have all these different modules that you can pick and choose. And like the one that involves the servers and the matchmaking and the multiplayer stuff, like doesn't get pulled in. Actually, there is multiplayer in PvE. It's just not
correct.
So, but even then it's like what you end up doing is you pull in like 90% of the stuff, but just like leave out the stuff you don't want.
Yeah.
And if everything is like a module that you just want that feature, then it's great. Then it would be trivial for them to incorporate prestiging, but chances are it's just not like that. So then they would have to go through, basically they'd have to like copy paste all the shit over and then like make a bunch of changes in like really similar but also different files.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like from a layman's perspective, it actually feels like they make more work for themselves to avoid PvP things because every time there's a wipe day, all the wipe stuff is in PvE. Like they don't leave it alone. It's just like they did all the wipe stuff, but they didn't add ref to PvP. So if you have arena, there's no ref, you can't progress, you can't get that trader, you can't get any of the cosmetics, but they did everything else on wipe day. And then like they did this wipe, they didn't do prestige. And it's like you did everything else and you did it on wipe day. Like I would actually have expected PvE to get the update like a month later, but they do it all on wipe day. Which actually the only other PvE thing, I actually do think this is a W. They said that they were never going to wipe PvE. And basically what he said was like, when 1.0 happens, there will be a wipe. You will not have to wipe your PvE character, but you will not be able to update to the new 1.0 content unless you wipe. Because the downfall, I actually wouldn't mind if PvE the wipe update lagged like a month behind or a few weeks behind because PvE never wipes. If you're level 60 on PvE, when the new wipe happens, you get all the new quests that day. And then you can just like screenshot what the quests are. Like there's no exploration because you're level 60. And so all the 1.0 stuff, they're like, we're not going to let that happen. You're going to have to grind through it like everybody else. So it's not a forced wipe, but they're like, you can't do the 1.0 content unless you wipe your PvE character. And then it won't wipe again.
Yeah.
Apparently. I don't know. So anyways, that's that. The only two other big pieces of information we got from the podcast was one, the way he didn't say it exactly like this because he never does, right? He never says it exactly, but I asked like a couple of content creator friends and I asked chat and a bunch of people and everybody said, no, I heard it that way too. Not a single person said no. So he said the Tarkov will not wipe again until 1.0. So we're not getting like the question, has already been like, hey, do you think we're going to get like a June, July wipe? We normally do one in the summer. These past few years, it's been like kind of like more towards August. So now we don't know.
I mean, that makes sense given that like, remember, like this is something that everybody forgets. Back in the day, the wipes, they were just excuses for, hey, we're making this update because we're so early in alpha and beta. This update has major like game progression breaking changes that we just need to like start over.
Yeah.
And it was that for so long. Then eventually
it became scheduled.
It became like a scheduled thing because the design of the game and the economies and the quests and everything relied on this manufactured this manufactured sense of like your reason to keep playing, that it then just became a part of the like implicit design.
Yes. That's the story of Tarkov. If you go back far enough, Tarkov was supposed to be an open world game. And so what they said they were going to do was just make small maps and put them in the game with the extraction genre was created by accident. They were like, we're just going to make small chunks of the map and let you as the alpha testers play these chunks while we make the larger world. But so like the raid timer and the instance was just a temporary thing until they could get the open world. And then, they kept making new sections of the open world and then they would release them as maps. And then the game blew up and then they were like, wait, why did we do this in Unity? I don't know. And that just never materialized. The exact same thing with the wipes. They weren't like, oh, an extraction shooter game should have instance maps and there should be wipes every 6 months. No, they were wiping when they were like, there were wipes that were like 6 weeks apart way back in the day because they were like, oh, we're pushing a huge update. Let's just wipe everyone's progress. So it's like, it was funny towards the end of this podcast. He got a little rambly about Marathon. He didn't say it, but he was like, all these other extraction games, they're coming out and they're making, but like, he was like, we wish good luck to them, but we're the OGs, we're the best, we've been the industry standard for a reason. And I was like, bro, you freaking, every single part of this was an accident, bro. Like, don't even. So it is interesting that the whole thing was an accident. Wipes were an accident. The instance maps. Now, accident or not, they did invent the genre and it does work and it is cool. You know what I mean? It's just funny to like, it's the whole like, oh yeah, Chad, I totally meant to do that, but the COO of a company is saying that like, you're like, we are leading the industry and it's like, okay. Anyways, the last thing is they said, take this for what you will. Remember he said he tweeted the Q2 2025 and that became a meme instantly. And then we were wondering, did that Q2 mean the battle pass? Did that Q2 mean Labyrinth event? Believe it or not, who cares? Nikita said that what that meant was that by the end of Q2 2025, they will have an exact date on the calendar for 1.0, and that date will be communicated to the audience, to the community. Now, I will give them credit for this because this is good. He said, we want people to know and to be able to like look forward to it and plan and be excited about the date, just like you would announce GTA is coming out on this date.
Yeah.
Do I believe that they have the ability to plot a number down somewhere between 3 and 6 months in advance? I don't know. But I hope they do, because that is how I would want them to do it, right? It would be nice to get a date. So what is it? I mean, Q2 is April, May. Wait, January, February, March, April, May, June. Q2 is April, May, June. We're just about in May. We've got 2 months. And by the end of Q2, we will have a date for 1.0.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you look at the preliminary plan, right, their little roadmap, it's just like the list of everything. If you do all of that stuff, it's Tarkov today.
Yeah.
With a few less things that are broken.
Yeah.
Like it really, yeah, there's nothing.
No, there's no like new mechanics or anything.
So, which honestly makes me think that it's entirely feasible that 1.0. See, like the thing is that the whole like, aha, ha, ha, they're so far from 1.0. The assumption there is that 1.0 is like a meaningfully different finished game.
Yeah.
When in reality, so like, and that's absurd because they're supposed to be here, but they can't get here in this year. Except what they're telling us is actually 1.0 is here. So
it doesn't seem that crazy to think that they could get there. Yep.
I probably still won't.
Yeah. I was talking to the Bearkey and she was like, 1.0 is either going to be September 23rd because that's the launch day of Marathon, or December 31st because they're going to be struggling to get it out. Like they're either going to very intentionally.
Ooh, God.
You know what I mean?
Dude, that would suck. I feel like, I don't know. Is that like a BM or what? I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if I like would hate that or not.
Oh, I would hate it, but I mean, they can do whatever they want, right?
I mean, I just think like it's kind of the same thing that when I see and I also get it's different. Like none of these things are apples to apples, right? But when I see like the Balatro dev, the local thunk, tweeting about how incredible all these other games that are direct competitors to his game.
Yeah.
How he's like, this is game of the year. This game has me. It's like, it's so much more based. It's so much more fucking real. It's so much more respectable than fucking, what did I see? Oh, that just reminded me.
And posting on Reddit that we're finding out who our true believers are because all these people are leaving to play other extraction games. And you're like, oh, fuck, dude.
Yeah,
like, what?
Or when I see like fucking TeamSpeak tweet out today, it has it's like a GIF or a video of, I never saw the movie. Who's the guy with the gauntlet, the Infinity Gauntlet? Thanos.
Oh, Thanos. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's Thanos. He's the one that has like the kind of ball sack chin, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Thanos, like, I don't know, coming out of something, emerging from like, I don't know what, but TeamSpeak retweets, it says it's happening with that clip, retweeting Dexerto's article about how the CEO of Discord is stepping down and Blizzard is the CEO of Blizzard or whatever.
Yeah.
Or vice chairman of Activision Blizzard is going to be the new CEO of Discord. It's almost like, now I might be interpreting that wrong, but that's almost like them being like, oh, is this our time to shine,
for sure.
kind of thing?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I mean, that actually isn't that bad, but there are just some times where like some companies, something recently happened.
Yeah.
Right? Where like some game dev was like shitting on some other game dev for like the game failing or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was like, that doesn't make you, it's not a good look, man.
Yeah.
Like, because we can all have good popular games. Like every game developer can simultaneously be fucking millionaires and be successful. There's enough players and enough money to go around for everybody.
Yeah.
So the idea of like, it just seems so shitty to like want to explicitly schedule something.
Yeah, which once again, we don't know if it has yet, but I think it's something they would do. I don't know. We'll see. But that's Tarkov 1.0's a coming. Who knows what that means? I want the game to succeed. TLDR. All that being said, the Marathon Alpha started today or yesterday, and it was going to be a full-blown NDA'd, like out of your mind alpha where, you know, you couldn't share or stream or do anything. And after the announcement, like 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, the community was just like, bro, show us the gameplay. Let us see how like it actually goes. The creators were like, bro, we want to stream it. We want to show people. And so they lifted the NDA. You can Discord screen share it with your friends. You can stream it. You can post YouTube videos about it. You can live stream it on Twitter. You can do whatever you want. And so it's a 2-week alpha. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like we've run the whole gamut of like emotional responses to the alpha. I had one of my now Hall of Fame Twitch interactions, because it was almost like a haiku, because it was 3 messages, 2 messages. Like my response was the third. It was like, the message was, first time chatter, do you think this game should fail because they're only giving keys to streamers and not to anybody else? My response was,
you are not real.
Yeah. My response was, if they gave keys to non-streamers, how would you know? Because they wouldn't be streaming. His response was, I hope you have a terrible day, you rich entitled fuck. Bing, bang, boom. Do you think this game should fail because they're only giving keys to streamers? If they were giving keys to other people, how would you know? I hope you have a terrible day, you rich entitled fuck. It was Hall of Fame. Like, it was so great. It was so great. It was crazy.
These people are real.
Yeah, dude, it was so crazy.
They're like, the sad thing is that like it's almost definitely real.
I don't even think we banned him. To be honest with you, I think he just left.
I wouldn't even. That would be one that I wouldn't even want to ban.
I didn't ban
because
him.
it's like so.
I was like, keep talking, please.
Oh my god.
But dude, it was funny. It was funny. But anyways.
Someone just said him talking about this stuff only makes me want to rage bait him even more. I promise you, you are not clever enough to
be on that level. Ironically,
good. You can't fake that.
Yes,
you cannot fake that level.
Exactly. You're either like that level of delusional or you're not. Right? Like faking it is hard. Apparently they came back today and I missed it. Reverse is saying, "Oh shoot, damn." Anyways. So that was very funny. But yeah, so I understand for sure. I understand that like the flip side of lifting the NDA is that you're showing the game to the world and you're going to have like an audience of people that really want to play. You know what I mean? And it's an alpha test, which they to the people that got the like codes, they were really clear about how like this is a smaller alpha test. There's like somewhere between like 20 and 40,000 codes that went out, which means that at any given time, there's like 4,000 concurrent, right? You know what I mean? It's like there's a million Tarkov players, there's 100,000 concurrent, like the way it works. So they 20 to 40,000 codes, something like that. It's a very small test, but intentionally. So the double-edged sword of releasing the NDA is there's people, how do I get in? I applied for a code. I wish they were giving out more codes. It's enticing to say, I can't believe it was all the streamers, which almost all the streamers that got a code got 10 codes to give away to their community. There's obviously not 40,000 streamers in the marathon category. So it's very much so not just streamers, but once again, you only see streamers because they're the ones streaming. So it's understandable that there's frustration because the part of the gaming community that's very interested in the game, very rightly so, just wants to get their hands on it. So that's been very understandable. But yeah, it's been fun playing. It has, I will say it's such a it's been good to be able to play in my own house with my own mouse and keyboard for as long as I want to play, right? When you're flown out to Seattle, it's we play for 2 hours and then we break for lunch. I didn't put a morsel of food into my mouth today until 5 p.m. because I just hopped on and I streamed and I didn't think about so it's being able to get uninterrupted time on my mouse. I have so many binds on my mouse.
On your account too with making actual progress.
Yes, exactly. So it's so it was very good to be able to do that and get I've gotten almost 20 hours into the alpha in the past 2 days, which is more than I got the whole last time we were up there, so. But I will say it's 100% cemented. My opinion on the game hasn't changed. I made a video based on my experience playing up until this far. Mm-hmm. And it's basically fully cemented everything. All my frustrations are just getting more and more frustrating. And the things that I loved about the game are more and more fun to engage with, the moment-to-moment combat, learning all the runners, all the stuff that I found to be enjoyable when I was there, I'm addicted to. I want to go on and play tomorrow. I want to farm more mats. I want to get into more PvP. I want to snipe more people. But the things about the game that frustrated me are the hope was that as you progress through the game, those things alleviated and maybe there were paths out of them. But it's been oppressive. So if you're listening to this and you watch that video, it largely unchanged opinion. And still, I stated in that video, and I still hold this true today. If the game released as it was today, I think it dies pretty quickly. But I think they have the tools to make the changes necessary to dial it in. It's just, will they, right? And it's not just will they do that, but will they do that? What are those things? Whose feedback are they going to listen to? Right, I'm definitely not kidding myself to think that my third eye's been opened and I know everything that they need to do to make this a game that that a million people want to buy and people want to play for hundreds of hours. I don't know all the answers either, but I definitely have my feedback and have been giving it very regularly. But part of that discussion that I wanted to talk about on the cast here is how crazy it is to iterate on a genre. Some of the mechanics around trying to iterate on the genre of extraction shooter when the extraction shooter genre was invented on accident, right? There was something different about the Battle Royale, which came from the old H1Z1 and the old Arma mods, where it was yo, what if we played Arma, but there were 50 of us and it was last man standing? That was a core principle from the old school days that has been a through line to every Battle Royale is about there being a certain amount of people and last man standing wins. And Apex does it different than Warzone, that does it different than Fortnite. But what do you kind of do when, basically the question is, what are the through lines?
Yeah.
Is it wipes? Is it instance maps? Is it a secure container? Is it how fast you die? Is it that when you die, you lose everything you have? Is it that it's grounded in reality? We talked a lot about last week about how like there's just some emotional subconscious connection when you're walking around like our world, right? Versus up on another planet. And so the mechanics of like when the extraction shooter genre was made on accident, what are the through lines that, what are like the sacred things, right? Like if a new battle royale came out where like you could leave whenever you want and everybody would win, everybody would be like, this is an ass battle royale. It's like, you can't, that's the sacred through line. You can't touch that. Last man standing wins. That's a battle royale. So what are those things about an extraction shooter? It's fascinating because ABI went one direction, Delta Force went a direction, Marauders, the Cycle Frontier, DMZ, Hazard Zone. And it's like, it's an interesting thing that I've been thinking a lot about because it didn't have a cohesive, consistent vision in its inception.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I don't have anything to add to that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm just interested in how you parse that out. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll say that all I know about Marathon, other than what you've told me, is what I saw scrolling Twitter literally today.
Yeah, which is fun. Yeah.
And I would say there's literally two things anybody talks about. It seems to be fairly unanimous. There's two things. The first one is that all the content creators, like mostly Tarkov people that I see posting about it, basically said they checked it out, they played it for a bit, and something along the lines of like, I felt like it's pretty meh. They're gonna have to do a lot more to get me to come back, kind of thing. Yeah. So that was like the first sentiment. The second one was people ranging from being annoyed to all the way straight malding, all caps, demanding,
of course,
aim assist is the worst thing ever. And I saw like one clip where it was like hard to determine what was going on. It almost looked like a guy was using aimbot, which like I didn't see any of that when I was like watching you play. So like I don't even know what was happening, if it was like a disingenuous thing or if it was a meme even. Like
I haven't seen the video, but there has been some controversy around in the game. There's a setting on mouse and keyboard called bullet magnetism, on or off. And basically it's like, I have not done any testing on how egregious it is, but it's a mechanic. It seems like, I agree that I actually think it's horrendous. It seems ass backwards because it's like the aiming skill of a mouse player is here. And because of the input of a controller, the aiming skill, right, is never going to be able to be there because you don't have that thing. So let's add a little bit of aim assist to, you could obviously make the argument that conceptually to even the playing field. If it's even in the conversation that aim assist is so tuned that we need to artificially buff the mouse, then why wouldn't you just reduce the, like, maybe there's something, I don't know, but that seems out of control because like you were the one that turned this dial.
And you're talking about, this is from the perspective of Bungie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what you're saying is basically like you don't understand that they have this whole bullet magnetism thing. Like that doesn't make sense. They should just make the controller aim assist. If that's the reasoning, just make like the controller
just
aim
dial
assist.
It down. Yeah.
So the bullet magnetism is what that is, that the bullets almost have homing bullets. So like if you aim an inch to the left of someone's arm and you shoot, does the bullet curve and hit the arm, or does your cursor almost go?
That I don't know. I don't know.
So you can't feel it?
No, which makes me think it's got to be the bullets moving, not the mouse, because I don't feel my mouse like ever like dragging. Like it doesn't feel like my sensitivity gets lower when I'm in front of an enemy. So it's got to be that.
That's something that, at least for me, I instantly feel when there's like something's happening that I'm not doing. It's like a jarring to me. It's almost like if you ever play one of those racing games where you didn't like calibrate the wheel, so the wheel has to be cocked a little bit to the right to go straight. You're like, this is just wrong. Like, it's almost like that. You can't, or in a way, like the most extreme example is if you accidentally tick the like invert vertical input,
and
where
you're
you
like
go to look up and you're like, it's like, whoa, it's like disorienting. But the moment that anything happens where your character does a thing that you didn't do, to me, it's like a fucking ice pick in the temple where it's just instantly. So I feel like you'd notice.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I would notice if it was actually adjusting my sensitivity. So it's got to be the magnetism thing, where as long as you're close enough.
But all the things I was seeing on, again, like I didn't actually click or like listen. But I was watching clips where it literally like it looked like the guy went 90 degrees and locked onto someone.
Oh, I didn't see it. I didn't see any of those clips. If you saw clips like that, it was probably controller aim assist, because I've seen a lot of those types of clips from Call of Duty where like the dude's got his hands up, he's got a camera on his controller, and somebody walks slowly in front of him, and the guy's character like will actually like turn 45 degrees because it carries you with it. I haven't seen. I'm especially avoiding Twitter after the launch of Marathon because I just don't care. But if you saw clips like that, I would imagine they were controller clips, because mouse and keyboard does not feel like that.
Okay.
But once again, it just feels
while you're
like
talking, I'm going to scroll and see if I can find it.
It just feels like you put a big ass pot on the stove and turned the heat up, and then realized that the pot was too big. So you fill the pot with a smaller pot with water and put that pot in the pot on the stove. It's like, brother, just use the smaller pot. Like, it just seems so ass backwards to me. Like, the whole core principle of aim assist on controller is we have to dial it up so that it's fair with mouse and keyboard. If it's dialed so far up that it's unfair with mouse and keyboard, artificially boosting the skill of mouse and keyboard, like, where does that end? How many more degrees are we away from like me like napping at my desk while my character does all the work and then I call it my own progress, right? Like I'm very I don't get it.
So I found it, and it looks like what I'm seeing from the guy is it looks like I see like his arm out here, like it looks like he's playing mouse and keyboard.
Okay.
Let me pull it up and show you. This looks like totally bonkers to me.
Bunkas.
Okay. God, the video quality is 1080p. This is not 1080p.
It was 160p upscaled to 1080p before it was put on Twitter.
There's 1080p total pixels. There's 1080 pixels. Here, let's see. So I think what I'm looking at is like this guy. I think it's his perspective.
Okay.
Like he's not dead.
That's Enders. I know that guy.
Yeah, so.
Oh, it snapped on him. That's weird because I think Enders plays mouse and key. I've never had anything like that happen to me.
I can see his hand.
Yeah.
Dude.
What's the description of the tweet say?
Yeah, let's just go back real quick, and I just want to watch this first bit. It's weird because like I can see just watching his hand. Watch. He's moving it like to the left.
Yeah.
I'm so confused. So his tweet is, how do you expect people to take your game seriously if you just put an aimbot in the game and turned it on by default? Marathon DOA if they don't remove this. Simple.
Maybe mine is off. I've never had anything like that happen.
He wrote, I bet these people had fun. Like, what the fuck, dude? It's just aim lock.
I mean, I feel like you could have tracked somebody like that if they were jumping off a thing.
But I think he's like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Let me actually like listen to what he's saying. Yeah.
Dude, it makes me wonder if like the game thinks he's on controller or something.
Maybe, dude. No, but no, I mean, that's like, I couldn't track that. I could not.
You could, but I understand. Once again, I'm in no way
here's the
defending
thing.
it.
I would be able to, I would be able to get all the bullets on target while someone is like, it's not like they're moving that fast, but it's every bullet is.
Oh, yeah, you wouldn't hit the same spot.
Pixel.
Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Like, it's just so perfect.
Dude, I have never once while I was playing these past 2 days felt like the game moved my mouse for me.
Yeah, so people are saying maybe he had a controller plugged into his PC and it's like,
dude,
it's applying.
Maybe.
It's bullet magnetism. It actually works quite well, LOL. Clueless. Who are these people?
That was a response to the tweet. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Apparently, though, I've never heard of bullet magnetism before, but apparently, like someone in chat was saying earlier, and other people had been saying that like Bungie has used it in other games before, like maybe in Destiny. I don't know. Once again, I don't know, and I have so little interest in like being a part of any drama around this. I agree with how that video makes you feel. And I agree that I think conceptually it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of, unless I am missing something, but I don't think I am. So yeah, I agree. It was used in the new Halo, somebody said.
Someone says bullet magnetism is a thing in Destiny 2 as well, and people like it there. Did you play you played Destiny 2?
I played Destiny 1 mostly, and a little bit of Destiny 2, and I played both of those exclusively on console.
Oh, so you were cheating then too. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Pwn and mouse and keyboard noobs.
Yeah, interesting. It's like actually incredible how many people are like, how do you think it's gonna appeal to the casuals? Like, it's not.
Do the casuals?
How do you think? How do you think?
No, you go. You go.
Awkward. Dude, it was like that millisecond. Crazy. Oh fuck! What was I gonna say? I don't know, dude. Oh, I was gonna say that's like go-karts are already casual race car racing, right?
Yes.
Have you ever been to one of those places where the go-karts are actually they have like a thing on the bottom and there's a metal rail, so you're just on a track like a train? But you can steer like 2 inches. You can just go like this, and you're just going, but you're going straight. That's like what this is.
Well, it feels.
Well, how would you expect people to get into race car driving, the casual?
And once again, it feels like they were like, "Hey, this go-kart versus F1 race isn't fair." So they strapped a SpaceX rocket ship to the back of the go-kart, and then somebody came out on the field that was like, "Whoa! This doesn't look right. We should put a smaller rocket ship on the F1 car." It would be like, what the fuck? Like, no, take the rocket ship off. So it's like, I don't get it personally. Once again, I'm ignorant. I'm a Tarkov Andy through and through when it comes to mouse and keyboard. Maybe this is a thing in Halo and a thing in Destiny and people enjoyed it. The community definitely doesn't seem to enjoy it. I conceptually do not enjoy it and don't think it just seems crazy because once again, like, I'm not anti-aim assist. We've talked about this in the podcast before where I have like a hot take where I'm like, aim assist kind of makes total sense if the metric you're going for is fair. Yeah. Like if the metric you're going for is bringing the platforms, the inputs to parity and then letting the player skill do the rest. But if we're in an arms race, like my question, the thing I was going to say was like, because he was like, well, how do you think the casual feel? Do the casuals want to put their controller on their desk, put their hands behind their back, and then watch gameplay? And be like, I'm doing so good. Because it feels like we're in an arms race to that. If we're going to add bullet magnetism, well, then why not add a little bit of this? And why not add a little bit of that? And it's like, well, what? Like,
it's a turn-based shooter.
Exactly. So I just like, I think aim assist is great. Because, right, like the other argument I've heard is like the thumbstick for moving is a lot more fluid than WASD, right? Like you have infinite degrees of, which direction you want to go. It's a lot easier than that. But then obviously on the mouse hand, I have an insane amount of precision that you don't have. So it's like, I'm fine with it. This is one of the most ignorant things I've said in a long time, but I don't understand how it's this hard to like add a little bit of aim assist and just like, if you're seeing clips of it literally pulling players in a 180 degree while there's a camera on their controller, dial it back. Like this can't be the hardest thing. I'll go to bat that like cheating. We're never going to figure this out. Anti-cheat's never going to be perfect. We're always going to play behind the ball. But like aim assist is like, we have it all. We have the technology. We have the beginning, the middle, and end. We made it. It's like, just dial it the fuck back. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess all of that assumes that like the devs need to explain why, if it's intended for mouse and keyboard, why, and like, because otherwise we're just assuming that it's there to combat the OP. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. One of the things I also saw too, actually, that was that Marathon is going to have a battle eye.
Oh yeah, it is.
And I was like, oh, here we go. A new generation of fucking Rig Zero, kernel level, anti-cheat, blah, blah, blah. Oh, God, here we go.
However, though, what's been cool to see is I remember you explaining this to me because I didn't understand what it meant. Valorant's like fog of war thing where the server actually, they built this, they have that too in Marathon. And we talked a lot about you kind of have to like build the maps in a way that you that's what you want to do because you have to communicate with the anti-cheat and you have to do this, that, and the other. And they've got that.
Yeah, I mean, it's less about the maps and more about the networking.
Yeah. So they built the maps and the networking. They've been talking about it a lot, actually, that they have that fog of war system that Valorant has in Marathon as well. Now, you could conceive of how it will be less effective in like imagine that in, woods. The whole thing is that like if, there's like a wall in front of you and you would never know, then the server doesn't do it. But like, these maps have like bigger distances. Valorant maps and CS maps are like small with lots of things. But it is there, and there are lots of interiors and lots of buildings. So like that's kind of cool that's there. But Destiny's desync also makes Tarkov look amazing by comparison. I can't accept that. You might be right, but I would need to see some clips. I can't accept that. I can't accept that. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. That's probably my own bias, but I can't accept that. Anyways, so anyways, you had said that one of the only things you had seen about Marathon was that and that discussion, which once again, I'm very willing to say that I'm ignorant and maybe there's things I don't know, but I'm also very willing to put my foot down and be like, this whole conversation seems so dumb. But like I'm siding on the fact that it's like, yeah, just get rid of it and tone down the aim assist. Like make it fair. Like make it fair, but you don't have to keep patching things on to make it fair. You can, addition by subtracting, right? So there's that, and that's understandable. I've been more like not concerned because I think that is a very concerning thing, but I've been more focusing my feedback on more of the like basically answering that first question. What about an extraction shooter is sacred? What isn't? What makes an extraction shooter game fun? How much tension do you need? Where if that tension is alleviated over here, how can you bring it back over here? So like my thought process has just been so much more because I haven't played a lot of crossplay games. Like anybody that's spent a couple thousand hours or a couple hundred hours playing crossplay games comes into Marathon with that as a concern. Like, hey, I hope the aim assist isn't really bad. And then they see this and that's frustrating. I come from Tarkov, right? I'm not even thinking about that. I'm coming at it more from that perspective of like, just like, how does it feel? What's the purpose? Is there enough tension? Is there too much tension? where do you need the tension? You know what I mean? Like one of the big proponents I have still is just like, there's just like no capacity to like take out loot. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we talked about how like, you know, what's like a poor man Tarkov kit, like a scav backpack, and maybe like a bank robber, the small rig that's just 4 1x2s, 2, 4, 6, 8. You got 4 pockets, you got 8 cells up here, and you got a 24 cell backpack, or maybe 20, I can't remember. That's like to have what? Let's say 24, 32 cells. That's endgame in Marathon. A purple bag, I think, has 32 cells. And that's chump change in Tarkov. And so
now, are the items the same size? Because, like, you know, it would be possible that in some, like, comparing PoE, if I remember correctly, to, like, Diablo,
yeah,
there were a lot more items that were, like, you get I'm going to get this wrong, actually. It might not be PoE I'm picturing, but they could make an item, like a sword, be, like, 1x1.
No, it's
whereas, like, it would be 4x2 in another game.
It's kind of what you think. Most guns are 4x2. Like, most guns take up 2 full rows in a backpack.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of mats you need go up in rarity. So the green mat is 1x1. The blue mat is 1x2. And the purple version of that mat is 2x2. So, like, you're just out. You're just out. Now, you don't need to bring mags, but you do need to bring ammo and you need to bring meds. And, like, genuinely, I was like, I interviewed one of the devs today, and I like had a blue bag or a green bag, which is like a not standard bag, like an additional bag. And it was over half full with meds and ammo. And I was like, well, what loot am I going to get out? You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's the kind of stuff where it's like, they talk about how they want there to be tension and bag pressure, and they want you to like to make these decisions. And that's one of the mainstays example where I'm talking about, it's like an extraction shooter is not just about tension. It's about where that tension and that pressure is applied, right? Like, if you increase the time to kill in Tarkov, but then reduce the bag size, it would be ass. Because the reason Tarkov works is that the tension is, am I going to live? And then the tension relief is, when I do, I'm fucking stacked.
Yep.
And so you could maybe think we could flip that and you have an equal amount of tension. And I could say conceptually, I understand that thought process, but practically it feels like ass. Yep. I want it the other way. I want to die quicker, but when I get out, I want to hit the lottery. You know what I mean? So there's elements like that where I'm focusing a lot on like, where is the fun? Where is the frustration? What are these kind of like sacred tenets? Like, I really don't mind the ability to like res your teammates. I actually think it's super nice to be able to like play the game. If your teammate clutches a 1v1, your clutches a 1v3, you know, but so that's the thing where I'm like willing to be like, oh yeah, let's actually lower the tension a little bit there, because just by nature of you being able to be rezzed, death doesn't hit you as hard initially. But I'm like, we have to put that tension somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it kind of feels like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, where they have like a little bit of a longer TTK, and you can res people, and you can res them from full down, and self-reses are in the game. Like, you can have a self-res on you. And so it's like, oh, like should kind of have like one or the other, where like maybe lower the TTK if there are more ways to come back to life. Or if there's no ways to come back to life, you would raise the TTK. But having a slightly longer TTK and all these ways to come back to life, it's like, oh, and it just changes the way combat feels. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And someone's saying there's almost no way that you can 1v3. Like, that was the first thing that came to mind as you were describing that, is that like, if it takes a full magazine to kill someone, and it takes 2 seconds to reload a magazine and 4 seconds to res, you kill one guy, you kill another guy. By the time
100%.
you're about to kill the third guy, he's already res the second guy.
100%.
And you kill one guy, the other guy reses the second guy, and then it's like, you're not going to win 9 fights in a row.
Exactly. And you absolutely can 1v3, but not in the way you need to be able to 1v3. And this is where I think they're tripping up because they're like, yeah, we've seen it happen. And I'm like, I mean, freaking cosmic radiation flips qubits from 0 to 1. That doesn't mean like we plan on it happening. That doesn't mean you say, yeah, that can totally happen. Like it kind of cannot happen. It has happened, but it doesn't happen enough that you can say that it happens. Like I 1v3'd earlier today, but like they were kind of
situational.
They were kind of potatoes and they were all split and I didn't take any damage. Of course I could 1v3, right? Like if I had go ahead.
When you thirst them, like, is that a thing where they're like crawling on the ground and there's like a res from there, but then there's also a res when they get fully killed?
Yes.
It's just longer?
It's longer, yeah.
Okay, so, but even that makes it...
It's longer, and if you thirst someone out in a bad position, it's much less likely they're going to go for the res, because if you can crawl like around a corner, then you're much more likely to get res. But like, yeah, you can't like, and I think one of the ways they could do that is just like mad increase the headshot multiplier, because that's the thing in Tarkov. Almost every time you see a clip of a guy 1v3ing, they're hitting headshots because they have to, because they can't waste the ammo and they can't waste the time full body shotting, right? Like all those crazy clutch clips where the guy's like, last bullet. It's because he swung perfectly head height and just boom, took out the guy. Now, once again, I don't think the time to kill in Marathon should be instant, but that is one of the ways where you give that inch, where you go, okay, 1v3, but you gotta hit the headies. And if that kind of dramatically reduces the time to kill, where you can go brrr, brrr, and then reload and you're in a powerful position.
Yeah, you need to, like, every time I've seen, I don't know how many bullets there are, or any of the guns or anything like that, but it looks as if it's like 1 kill to 1 magazine. And like, you can't have that. It needs to be...
You can't have that if you're hitting headshots, for sure. Like,
no, I mean, even if you're hitting center mass, like, you need to be able to. So like in Tarkov, if you have like an AKS-74U with BS ammo and guys with like level 5 armor, with a 30-round mag, you can dead.
Yeah,
it's 3 or 4 bullets, center mass kind of thing is enough to kill. In this case, it seems like it's dead. Click, reload. Another guy comes in, starts to res the other guy. He goes behind cover. Reload. Oh, now there's 3 again. And it's like, my first kill was meaningless.
Yeah.
It was rendered meaningless. But if I'm able to go, and now there's 2 crawling on the ground. Now, if you can surprise somebody, the 1v3 is literally, it's only a 1v1.
Yeah.
Because the first 2 guys, you caught off guard and surprised them to the point where they couldn't return fire on you.
Yeah.
So it's literally, if the last guy can clutch it, then you lose.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you can beat the last guy, that's the only real straight up dueling you're gonna do.
Exactly. It shouldn't be easy to clutch a 1v3 by any means, right? Like you should be at the disadvantage there, but yeah, you need to be able to like utilize skill. You need to be able to press an advantage, and like if you take any amount of damage, really, I mean, you're just like cooked because of the time to kill. You're just gonna like die first. You know what I mean? That's something. Once again, I'm not saying I want 1-taps from like SMGs in Marathon like you can in Tarkov, but so it's like, hear me when I say I don't necessarily want this situation to happen, but I want to figure out a way to get this feeling. How many times in Tarkov have you been 27 HP and you hear dung, 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 dung? The PMC that just shot at you and lit you up, he knows you're low, right? He's swinging you, you pre-fire head height, and the dude just goes and falls over. You're 27 HP, and when you get that kill, you're like, oh, I'm totally fine. You're like so shaken by that, but you were able to like turn the tide, right? Like if I'm 27% HP in Marathon and I hear someone coming and I pre-fire, it doesn't matter because it would have to be like before
they would have to miss every shot.
They would have to miss every single shot. So it's like, and I'm not saying I want pre-fire head height 1-taps from SMGs in Marathon at all, but this is what I've been talking about. What are the feelings that Tarkov gives you the highs and the lows, and how do you get those feelings out of a different type of game? Like, I'm not saying Marathon needs that, but I'm just saying that, like, you can't get that high. If you're 27% HP in Marathon, you have one option, and that is run away and heal. And you know for a 100% fact that any pick you got, by the time you come back to the fight, that guy's going to be rezzed and full healed because it took you 3 business days to heal. So,
yeah, I mean, imagine being like in fucking Crack House or whatever in Tarkov. You're like right on the inside of a doorway. You haven't made any noise. You've been, like you just looted or whatever it is, right? And you hear and you hear 2, 3 sets of footsteps. You swing. If there's 2 guys sprinting, if you've got good ammo, like let's say an AKS-74U with BS, there's no chance in a 1v2 you don't, like, they might hit you with 1 bullet.
Yeah.
You'll go dead. By the time the guy's stopping and going to aim and he's getting aim punched, he's dead too.
Yep.
Right? Like a 1v2 is almost easier than a 1v2 is easier than a 1v1 when the guy knows you're there.
Yeah.
A surprise
1v2. Yeah.
And even then, how many fucking situations have we seen if you have like a Val or something and there's like a 4-man and you just go ba 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 the last bullet and it's like, oh fuck. You can't do that if you need 1.2 mags to kill one person, right? Like,
yeah. So I don't know the solution. I don't know the answer, but there needs to be, some of that. Once again, especially if you have the res. Like that's I think they're underestimating the fact that they can lower the time to kill because you get the res. You can res from a down but not out, and you can res from a full thirst. In Delta Force, you can only get res from a full thirst one time. So you go down but not out, and then the guy thirsts you and you're full down. Your teammate can res you. If you go full down again, you are back in the lobby. In Marathon, you can go full down as many times. As long as you have a teammate up, he can come res you. That affords you the wiggle room to lower the time to kill a little bit, because then you allow for more clutch moments, and it means dying relatively quickly doesn't hurt as bad, because if your teammate clutches the fight, you get back in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and really you only lost fucking 3 cells worth of loot in your tiny backpack anyway. Too.
Exactly. So it's like interesting that right now we just have the extremes where Tarkov has no rezzing and a time to kill of exactly 0 milliseconds, depending on the ammo. And then Marathon is like, we'll add rezzing and self-rezzes and full rezzing, and we're going to have a longer time to kill. It's like, oh man, what if we had a little bit of this, a little bit of that? So I don't know. And then, the healing simulator can get pretty tedious as well, because there's shield charges and then there's HP heals. And so like if you're down to 10 HP, unless you have like juicer high tier meds, you have to go like shield charge, patch kit.
Oh my god.
And I'm just done. I want to go away. You know what I mean? Like I want to ETG. Like, and everything just starts going up, and I can push, and I can like close. That's the thing. You have to just like crawl around.
Or the
like
halo,
this.
like.
Yeah. I'd rather have like, instead of having to like wait the entire animation and then have all the HP come from the shield, I'd rather just go like bang, bang, bang with 3 injectors and then have the HP come gradually. Because then I can like close distance. I can be like, ooh, I can put this hardcover in front of me. And even if it takes the same amount of seconds to heal, the fact that I can like do something while I'm being healed, because then if I push the corner and I'm low HP still because I haven't healed up, that's on me for dying. But at least I get the agency to push the corner because I know that guy's low too. So I'd almost rather it that way, where like jam me with an injector, jam me with an injector, jam me with an injector, and then just have it start creeping up slowly, and then let me do something. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But it's interesting also, you know what I mean? Like obviously lots of comparisons to Tarkov. Is this going to take over Tarkov? This is one that I struggle with, and I'm interested to see if you have a perspective in chat or if you have a perspective on this. And like, I'm coming at this in good faith, where like the people that ask this question are often not the toxic people. Like these are like genuine questions from like homies in chat. But it's like something to the effect of like, what do you think? Like, is there a reason to grind? Like, is there, man, I don't know. Like, what's the point of the game? Like, what is there? Like, is there something to grind for, or whatever? And I don't know how to answer that question for Tarkov, because most of the people that are asking the question aren't Kappa gamers. They're not the people that grind for Kappa. And I think that there's basically, my hypothesis is that Tarkov got a pass because of its novelty. There isn't anything mechanically driving you to progress that's not in Delta Force and ABI and Marathon, which is...
Well, what's there to grind for in slot machines?
Yeah.
In fucking blackjack, what's there to grind for? That's answer that, and you have the answer for every extraction shooter.
Yeah.
What's there to grind for fucking roulette?
But that's what I'm saying, is that I feel like people that are asking the question don't have an answer to that question for Tarkov, or one that's different. I think Tarkov got a pass because of its novelty, because it was the first of its kind. Because by the time you realized, like, because your first 100 raids, you were like, this game is crazy. This is unlike anything I've ever played before. And then by the time you got to the 100 raids, you didn't even realize you were addicted. You had the IV drip in. And then people are like, well, how am I going to get the IV drip in? And it's like, well, it has the same grind. But, and I don't mean this for Marathon. Arena Breakout and Delta Force and Marathon. You do quests to get more money. The more quests you do, the higher level you are. You get better loot that you can purchase so that you can PvP more and get more money and progress quests. Like, that's it in Tarkov 2.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. So I'm so like intrigued, especially a game like Delta Force that literally had a hideout and 6 different traders. Like, Delta Force was a lot more like Tarkov, and it was the most common question I got playing Delta Force 2. Well, what's the reason? What am I grinding for? What, compared to Tarkov, do you really think? And once again, I'm trying to come at this from good faith. I just don't think most of those people have thought, how would they answer that question about Tarkov?
That's a common thing. They just don't apply the same logic to their own thing, whether it's the fucking political party or whether it's their favorite football team or whatever. It's not uncommon.
Now, but here's the thing though. I don't think those questions are inherently bad questions, because if the reality is, and I'm making this up as I go, right? So please don't hate me in the comments. If the reality is Tarkov doesn't have any of that either, but nobody noticed it because it was novel and new and we all got addicted beforehand. If that's the truth, but everyone is seeking some sort of higher meaning or purpose when playing other games, then that is good information that should inform the developers of Delta Force or Arena Breakout or Marathon, that maybe that is a place they need to like iterate on the genre, because you're not the novel one, right? Like Marathon, you're not the first. You don't get that treatment that Tarkov got. So maybe you do need to figure out what your like, overarching purpose is. I don't know. So like, once again, I don't take those questions in bad faith. I'm not like, bro, you don't even apply this to Tarkov, you idiot. No, I'm like, so many people are asking me this about every single game, Gray Zone, Arena Breakout, Delta Force, Marathon, that I'm like, one of these game devs needs to answer the question. You know what I mean? Like, because everything you grind for in Tarkov is in Marathon, and it's in Delta Force, and it's in Arena Breakout. So, I don't know. it was just an interesting little thought experiment.
Bro, you talking about the that guy that came in that said the fucking, I don't even know, the hilarious trolley
I hope you have a
thing.
terrible day, you rich entitled fuck.
Yeah, that just reminds me. This is episode 1 of the new podcast subsection comment of the week.
Yeah.
Or tweet of the week. I want to dude, I had a funny interaction.
Okay.
I noticed 9 days ago, got one of those. I only get a subset of notifications for comments on videos, right? Like there's thousands and thousands of comments, but like it's like twice a day. It's like bloop, someone commented on your video. For some reason, for some reason they chose to show me 9 days ago. So remember how in my Billy Mitchell video, I did like a shout out. It's even like my pinned comment to this guy Ursat's Cats, who's the one that who's like the blog kind of writer behind perfectpacman.com. He's the one that like compiled years of evidence. 9 days ago was a comment, someone responding to my pinned comment saying Ursat's Cats is just a Karl Jobst ball gargler, nothing more. And I'm like, okay. Then 2 days later, I get another notification. The guy responded again to the same thing, apropos of nothing. Ursat's Cats is a Karl Jobst ball washer.
So like, did he respond to his own comment, or was that just another comment?
Yes.
Okay.
He just, same comment thread,
Okay.
Wasn't responding to anybody else. So I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of giggled. And then 2 days ago, I had posted last week about some Karl Jobst stuff. And I was like, go to this, Ursat's Cats' website if you want, like, because he did a write-up that was like a defense of Karl before Karl came out with the video. And I get a little notification on Twitter, and I get a response saying, it's a shit write-up by a guy who polishes Karl Jobst's balls with his tonsils. And I'm like, that's way too specific.
It's way too specific.
And I look at the guy. So the guy's name, SW Gunn, Gunn, okay? And then I go and I look at the comments on YouTube, because I can just go to my little notifications icon, scroll down a little bit, and I see @Gun25 is the one that did those two. And I'm like, why is this guy so obsessed with Karl Jobst gargling balls for this? Like, he's got such a fascinating. So I literally screenshot of both of those, like both of the notifications, because they're literally 1 day apart. So they're just next to each other in the fucking. And I was like, holy fuck, you're obsessed, bro. You need help. And he responds, you should hit follow since you're clearly a fan of mine, being how you're stalking me over different platforms. That's like, okay.
That's, dude.
Comment of the week. I'm the stalker.
That's Criminal Minds. Him literally commenting on your content across multiple platforms, and then you being like, bro, are you okay? And him being like, dude, you're stalking me. You can't make it up. You can't make it up. It's freaking Criminal Minds, dude. This is the darkest timeline.
Yeah.
Holy.
Yeah, so.
Holy.
Anyway, go back to gargling some balls.
Yeah, man. Go gargle. What's the other guy's name? The pack.
Ursat's Cats?
Yeah, you gargle Ursat's Cat's balls while he gargles Karl Jobst's balls.
The
human garglepede.
Gargle pad. Yeah, garglepede. Shit. Fuck, I was thinking the South Park human sentai pad.
Oh, okay.
Damn it.
The human garglepede. Well, anyways, that's the stuff this week. Got a lot of things going on. Tarkov's, whatever. I'm enjoying not playing Tarkov, and I'm enjoying about the I'm enjoying playing Marathon. So we'll see. I mean, once again, like, if I know I don't have to say this, but it's like, if 3 days from now I'm not having fun, then I'll go play Tarkov. If 3 days from now I'm having fun, I'll keep playing. You know what I mean? Like,
you just need to save a sample.
It
needs to be. I don't need to. Shit, I fucked it up. I don't need to explain myself to you. Fuck! Why is it not working? Everybody pretend like I sampled that and then played it over and over again, and my fucking thing didn't just glitch the fuck out.
That's so funny. Because that's the second most common question I get is like, do you see yourself playing this for years? And I'm like, I don't know, bro. Like, I'm hungry. I don't see myself playing this for another 2 hours. Like, why do I have to answer that? Anyways, but so that is the stuff. Thank you guys for hanging. Thank you for being here. If you want even more podcast content and ramblings, you should go to patreon.com/thepodcastpod or click the link down in the description. You get early ad-free access to these episodes and an additional episode you can get every week, which is pretty exciting. So thank you to the patrons. Thank you to the people here, whether you're on YouTube or listening on Spotify or whatever. We appreciate it. And you guys are the best. We'll definitely see y'all on the next one.
Peace.